Hi YouTube, Art here again, and in today's video we're going to talk about how you can use products from Elgato to get access to Wavelink and replace Voicemeeter in the audio tune. Wavelink is way more straightforward and user-friendly, and it's accessible through a bunch of different products from Elgato. We're going to cover what those are today and how to set up the tune using them. This is going to be the first of 2 hardware videos about the audio tune for people that really enjoy it, want to control a little bit more. The next hardware video will cover a amp/DAC that I found that supports 7.1 internally, has a second audio channel, and thus would only need 2 apps to work. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and click the notifications bell so you know when I upload that video. Now, to be perfectly clear, these are not new settings. The configuration files included in today's download links are the exact same ones from the first video I released. Nothing has changed yet. Be sure to tune in to my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/art_is_war on the 7th of February. We'll be live in the morning testing the update that drops for Season 2. Any changes that they make, we will cover in the patch notes and we will test live there. Elgato's Wavelink software is their software GoXLR, essentially. We'll cover it more later and I'll show and explain it. But what it does is it creates a bunch of software channels that you can then assign different apps to, control, EQ, and listen to. This is going to be the core of what we're using, and it's available through 3 different products. The first is the Wave 3 mic. This is a desktop mic that you can attach to an arm or place on your desk. It's what you think of when you think of like a Blue Yeti. It does have a 3.5mm headphone port and a decent enough headphone amp to drive a set of IEMs. Now, in later videos, I will be doing a headphone roundup where I'll go over a bunch of different IEMs and headphones that I've tested, and this will be a great place for people to start out. They're looking to move away from a MixAmp. This mic will sound way better. You can EQ it, you can add effects to it, and as I'll show in this video, it can house and route the audio tune to your headphones. The second option is the Wave XLR. This is for people that are maybe single or dual PC and want to use an XLR mic like the one I'm speaking into. It has an XLR port, a headphone port, and a single dial on it, but it too will give you access to the Wavelink software. What I use, and I use it on my game PC, is the Stream Deck Plus. The Stream Deck Plus is one of the newest additions to the Elgato lineup. It has a series of buttons on the top as well as 4 dials. What's really nice about these 4 dials is in the Stream Deck software, which I'll show later, it can be mapped to different channels in Wavelink. So I can reach up on my desk and control those knobs to control the volumes of the different devices created by Wavelink. Here is my Wavelink setup. You download the program, you install it, and it creates a bunch of devices on your PC. You can see I've added a bunch of them here to the mixer. One, I've added my mic coming back from my stream PC. That's totally separate. System, browser, voice chat, music, all of these are created by the Wavelink software. And in Windows settings, you can route those to special apps. More on that later. What's really nice is you can choose your monitor mix. So this is where you're going to hear all of these little headphone icons you see here. You can see I have some of them muted. This would be your headset, perhaps, or for me, this is my optical port going to my GoXLR. This is wherever you want to hear the sum of these parts. As you can see on the very right, I already have ArtTune added here. I'm going to go ahead and uninstall everything. We'll go through the guide and I'll show you how to set it up. But this is what's so nice about it. I can add the cable here. We'll talk about the low latency mode as well that you see here on the screen. And then in the Stream Deck software, I can assign this knob to control the monitor mix of the Wavelink input. So I can reach over to my desk, I can turn the knob, and my headphone mix of the art tune will be controllable. Not only that, but I have a bunch of different devices. So if you're a single PC streamer, or if you just want to have control over everything, you're going to have that kind of control in Wavelink, and it's a great option, especially if you're looking to move away from Astros, like I said, and you want to try out IEMs. The Wave 3 is a great desktop mic. It's really close to you, and you can plug your IEMs directly into it and listen to this whole mix right here. If you want to keep the Astros and you create content and you want to have the multiple channel audio that you see here, it's also a great option. It's just a very convenient way to control the audio tune. Once again, these aren't new settings, and it doesn't increase the quality of the audio tune at all. It's just a lot more user-friendly. I realize Voicemeeter is a scary-looking, weird, sci-fi almost looking application, And this is a lot more user-friendly and a lot more straightforward. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the instructions. In the description of the video, you'll find a download link to the application pack that contains all of the applications that we'll need for today's video, including download links to Wavelink. If you're already running Wavelink, go ahead and use that download link to update yours to the newest version. If you're already running the audio tune, I'm going to show a timestamp on the screen here. Click forward to this timestamp and follow the guide from there. You'll need to uninstall Voicemeeter if you already have the tune installed to proceed. If you don't have the tune installed, we'll jump right into the instructions. Once you download that from the description, you want to unzip that, extract it, and have that folder open somewhere. As you can see, I have it on my desktop. Inside of the Wavelink Warzone audio package folder, you'll find two folders. We'll start in the application package. You'll want to start with the first one, which is simply a link to download Wavelink. This will take you to the Elgato downloads page. You'll want to scroll down and find Wavelink 1.9.2. Click download and install. I already have this installed, so we can move on to step 2. Step 2 is installing the hi-fi cable. You'll double click this. It should run as administrator. You'll click install. It'll say you want to reboot. We'll do this later. You hit OK. Go ahead and hit back. We'll want to go to number 3, which is Equalizer APO. We'll run the installer. It's super important, like I said in the previous video, that this get installed to C programs file Equalizer APO. You can't throw out another drive. The way this interacts with Windows, it has to be here. So we'll go ahead and click next. We'll click next. We'll allow it to do its thing. When this pops up, you'll see you have a bunch of new Wavelink devices. We'll still just want to find this hi-fi cable device. We'll want to check it. And with the name highlighted here in blue, we'll want to click troubleshooting. From this list here on the right, we'll want to make sure that it says LFX, GFX. We're not going to worry about the boxes right now, and we'll hit OK. At this point, it'll say you can run it again. We'll do that later. Ask if you want to reboot. Check I want to do it later, and click finish. We'll go back. We'll run step 4. We'll install HeSuVi. We'll click yes here on this box. It will extract. It will do its thing. Once it's installed, you'll have a window open. This is the HeSuVi window. Again, we'll want to right click and pin that to the taskbar so that we can come back to that later. You'll see here, I'm just going to copy the same settings from the previous video. You'll want Atomos minus under HRIR. You'll want to uncheck stereo, leave content format on automatic, and then come to the front channel here, and we're going to set this to 7. You can set this to whatever you like. Some people run it at 100, and running it at 100 with the surround sound that we're implementing is still going to be better than stock audio. The lower you can run it, the more powerful it will be, because the less of your own gunshots and your own footsteps will trigger loudness EQ, meaning the compression, which makes quiet sounds louder and loud sounds quieter, will work on everything else that are not your sounds. Makes it very decluttered. If you want to know more about that, go ahead and watch the original video that is linked in the description below. We'll also go ahead and reduce LFE to 0. Once that's done, make sure stereo is unchecked at the top. Should look just like this. I'll pause for a second so you can screenshot it. We'll close this. We'll come back to that later. Like I said, that should be pinned in your taskbar. I don't know why the icon is bugged for me. It's probably because I've uninstalled and reinstalled so many times. Now we'll go back and we'll go to the 5th step. We'll install ReaPlugs. We'll just go ahead and hit next, install. We'll close. It'll say that's installed. That's great. Now the 6th step is the loudness EQ enable step. Now you'll want to select the text here in the middle from invoke to release time, and you'll want to copy it, which is Control-C on your keyboard or right-click and copy. And then we'll go to Windows and we'll type PowerShell, and we'll right-click this and we'll run it as admin. Super important step. This will not work if you do not do it this way. Now that we're in this window, we'll go ahead and paste in that command. We'll hit enter. Once this window pops up, it'll ask if you want to execute this policy change. You'll hit the language letter for you. For me, it's A for all, and hit enter, and it'll ask you for the device name. And for this, we're going to type in the name of the device that we just installed, which was hi-fi cable input, and we'll hit enter. We'll allow it to do its thing, and once it says System 32 again, you can close the window. We can close Notepad now. Now that that's done, there's one other step we need to do. Well, actually a couple more. We'll come here and we'll find configurator, which you can search for. If for some reason you can't search for configurator, we can go to the start menu, we can scroll down, and we can go to Equalizer APO and open configurator here. Now, because we did that step with PowerShell to enable loudness EQ on the hi-fi cable, that technically removed the Equalizer APO flag from that device. So we need to select this device again, check it, and then we'll check troubleshooting. With the device name and highlighted in blue by clicking the name of the device, we want to make sure that it says LFX GFX. If you did this in the right order, you'll see all 4 boxes pop up here. Once that's done, you can hit OK. It'll ask you if you want to restart. We don't need to do that. We'll just manually restart the audio service using HeSuVi. So go ahead and click no here. Once that's done, click HeSuVi, which you should have pinned to the taskbar. If you didn't, you can search for it. You'll want to go to Actions and Restart Audio Service. You can also hit Control S on the keyboard. What that will do is it will refresh all of the audio services on the PC, which is essentially like restarting. Lets you skip a step. Once that's done, just double check these settings. Once again, you can close that window. Now we are done in the application pack section of the folder. We can go back to the config files and we will select both of these config files and I will copy them. Control C, or again, right click copy, and we will go to the C drive. We will go to program files. We will go to Equalizer APO, config, and we will paste those files into here. It'll ask if you want to replace the files. You do, because we're just going to replace the config file. Now that those config files are pasted in, we just need to enable them. We'll go down to the system tray again and search for configuration editor. Again, you can find this in the Equalizer APO file as well. If you open this, ignore this. We do not want Equalizer APO installed on the default device. We only want it on ArtTune. And as you can see from the dropdown, it is the only playback device with it installed. So we'll go to the top here. You can see the config file. It should appear like this for you, HeSuVi in the top, and then this direct to the config file here. We'll click the blue folder icon. We'll click open, and we'll select the MW3 ERS temp file. We'll click open here. We'll click open panel, check the apply box, hit apply, okay. We'll do that for both plugins, hit apply and okay. Once that's done, we can close this window. The next thing to do is to configure the hi-fi cable for surround sound. So to do that, we will go down to the speaker icon in Windows 10 and click Sounds. If you're on Windows 11, I know there's a bunch of clicking you could do to get there. I simply type in mmsys.cpl. I'll show that on the screen here. Hit Enter, and you'll get to the sound control panel all the same. We'll want to scroll down, and we'll want to find the hi-fi cable that we just installed. You'll click, with it highlighted, you'll click Configure. We'll select 7.1. We'll click Next, make sure all of that is checked. Make sure all of that is checked, and then click Finish. Once that's done, you can click Properties. You can rename this to whatever you want. I'm going to name it ArtTune as I have before. I'm going to select that name and copy it for later. And then I just want to make sure Loudness EQ is turned on. So I can go in here and set this to short. That will automatically check the box. I'll hit Apply here and OK. Then I just want to rename the other side of the cables to the same thing. So I'll go to Properties here, I'll paste that name in, ArtTune, and then I want to make sure that this is also set to 2-channel, 24-bit, 48,000 hertz. 24-bit 48 is what everything on the Elgato Wavelink is set to, so we'll make sure it's that. We'll hit Apply, and we'll hit OK. Another thing to do while we're still in the sound control panel is right-click and make sure that the Wavelink system is your default device, and Wavelink voice chat is your default communications device. You never want ArtTune to be the default device on the PC, whether you're using Voicemeeter or Wavelink, because ArtTune has so much EQ and surround sound stuff going on to it that if you play another source like a browser or another game through it, it's going to sound totally chalked. Now with Wavelink, we don't have to use the Voicemeeter device. We can just use the built-in devices like System and Voice Chat. We'll hop into configuring Wavelink. If you had Wavelink running during all of that, it's a good idea just to go ahead and restart the PC. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll see y'all back here. Okay, now that we're restarted, I went ahead and opened Wavelink, and as you can see, I have a couple channels already established here. I have my mic coming in back from my stream PC. That is just my mic being carried on an aux cable in the line in port of my motherboard. I've added the system device, which is my default device on the PC. This is just a normal device that I have set to a dial on my Stream Deck Plus, as I use for VLC videos, so on and so forth. I have a browser device, which is on another dial stack on the Stream Deck Plus. This I have assigned to my Chrome browser, which you can see here if the browser was making sound. That's just where you assign it. I've clicked that little levels bar there at the top. I have voice chat, which I use for in-game voice chat, and Discord if I was going to use that here. And then here at the bottom, you can see I've chosen Realtek digital output as my monitor mix. This is where you would choose your Arctis headset or your Odyssey Maxwells or the port where your headset's plugged in or your Astros, what have you. This is the monitor mix, or where you monitor the mix of these devices, as indicated by this headphone icon. If it's muted, it's muted. If it is lowered, it is lowered, so on and so forth. And you can add these to your heart's desire. You can add a music channel, special effects, game. And as you can see, when I added this other device here, mic from GoXLR, it is occupying the aux1 channel. So if I just go ahead and add ArtTune, that's all fine and good. This uses the aux2 channel. And if I would like to, I can open my Stream Deck application. And you can see here, I've already added, I'll just do it again so we can do it in the video. I'll add the input dial here. I'll choose my input as ArtTune. And now, as you can see, ArtTune here, I can control the volume of ArtTune. There is one little thing to be added here. With the advent of 1.9.2 Wavelink, the team at Elgato added support for the game channel to have a low latency mode. Now, this does a couple things. If I use low latency mode, that ability to have a dial and adjust this channel goes away. So that's one caveat to know before we get into this. So I can cheese the system. I can add an aux1 channel, and then I can add a music channel. So now if I add ArtTune, you can see it's red. It's forced on to the game channel. So I can now use the low latency mode to listen to the hi-fi cable inside of the mix. Now, like I just covered, this dial, while it will change the monitor mix, because of the way they've designed the low latency mode, it will just come out super loud and this won't do anything. So you'll have to use master volume in game to adjust it. Me personally, the latency really doesn't bother me that much. So I leave low latency mode off because I really like having the convenience of having the audio tune on a single dial here. Just being able to reach down and turn up or down the game sound, as well as up or down game chat, is invaluable to me. So you can test and you can see now, disabling and enabling low latency mode can be buggy sometimes. Sometimes you will have to restart the PC in between doing it. So just be wary of that. Like I said, in my opinion, it's really not worth it for low latency. I'd rather have the volume control, but do with it what you will. Now, an important thing to note, if you are using the low latency mode, if you remove any of these other devices and then you close Wavelink, it will move what device ArtTune is being listened to on. So I'll go ahead and quit it here. I'll open Wavelink again. It will restart, and you can see here, it's no longer giving me the ability to enable low latency mode. So if low latency mode is a must for you, you have to keep all of those ghost channels there, the aux and the other, so that ArtTune stays tied to that game device. And to be certain, make sure you add ArtTune last after all of these have been added. As you can see, when I click plus, the only two left are SFX and game. Ignore SFX because that's a special channel. When game is the last input, when these are the last two, you can click ArtTune and that will add it as game. Now, in game, this works just the same as the previous tune. You want to go to the audio settings. You want to make sure the preset for the audio mix is PC speaker. You can adjust this to what you'd like. I find it the best. And then you want to go down through this sea of devices and you want to find ArtTune. You want to make sure that is picked as your speaker's device. Then for speaker output, you want to make sure that this is set to Windows default. This is how Call of Duty knows that the ArtTune device is set to surround sound. So we'll make sure that is checked. We do not want this on stereo. Now, if you're using the low latency mode, you'll have to adjust your master volume here. There's nothing magic about master volume. It is just volume. You can take down the volume on the dial like I showed earlier, only if you're not using low latency mode. If you're using low latency mode, when I was testing it, I had to take my master volume all the way down below 30. That's how loud this game is, just to put that in perspective. So do with that information what you will. If I am running non-low latency mode, which is how I prefer to run it, I will just keep this at 100. I'll adjust the dialogue volume down, turn off all the music, and then use the dial on the Stream Deck Plus to control the volume of the art tune on the monitor mix. Now, for voice chat, I have placed this on the Wavelink voice chat device. And as I showed earlier, I have a dedicated dial for that. I can separate that. I can touch the touchscreen on the Stream Deck Plus and mute it. It's awesome. I love that feature. I also have my mic set to the stream mix on the Wavelink software. That way I have a key to mute and unmute my mic because it's the only thing going to the stream mix, so I can essentially toggle mute in game, which is awesome. But those are all just niceties. Those aren't important. The real important stuff here is that you're using Art Tune, Windows default, and then if you're using low latency mode, you have the master volume lowered to at least 35 or 40. That will probably be too loud. You'll have to go lower. Me personally, I don't use low latency mode, so I set this to 100 and control it on the dial. Like I mentioned earlier, there are no settings changes. If you're already running the tune in Voicemeeter, that is still the same audio tune. The Wavelink support just gives you more options for control, and it also opens the doors for people that have maybe only ever used a headset mic combo to start using a dedicated mic. The Wave 3 has often gone on sale for as low as $110. It has a headphone port on it that makes it really easy to plug in a set of IEMs. Like I said, I'll be doing a headphone roundup, so make sure you're subbed so you know when I upload that. Their other hardware is great for more niche or power users, but the Wave 3 mic's gonna be great for everybody. It's not going to increase the quality of your audio, it's just going to increase your convenience, and your mic is going to sound much, much better. All of the products that I talked about today are linked down in the description below. Those are Amazon affiliate links. If you use those, they really do help out the channel. I appreciate that. As always, I do offer one-on-one Warzone audio appointments. The link will be in the description below. That includes setting it up with Voicemeeter like the previous video, or Wavelink like we just covered. I also offer stream tunes and optimizations as well as setups. Those are all included on that Calendly page. So if this piqued your interest and you're interested in content creation, feel free to book a slot with me. We can set you up or we can just talk about it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, click the bell so you know when I upload those videos I talked about. In the next one, we will be going over a game DAC that supports 7.1 natively and has a separate chat device. So it is the MixAmp killer, and I'm very excited to share that with y'all. Like I said, I'll be live on update day to go over all the changes, and on every Saturday, I am live in the evenings Eastern time to take all of your audio tech questions about the game over on twitch.tv/art_is_war. Make sure you click the bell, like the video, and until the next one, I'll catch y'all later. Peace.